Own everything that come with it. Own all the consequences that come with it. I have to own the fact that I voted for old Goofy Joe, you know, and this stuff that he's did that I'm not a fan of, but overall I think he's done a good job. And but the party is corrupt, and I admit that. Then you have the other side, though. It's not even a close comparison. You got one candidate who's too old, but has brought positive economics, has stopped the COVID onslaught, has restored international favor, has restored, who is trying to protect as best he can anyway, human and individual rights for women and trans people across the country. He himself is doing those things as president. On the other hand, you got this dude who led a coup against his own government
and probably is going to win re-election.
Raped a woman.
Yes.
Right? And still, what we get back, he's too old.
And the funny thing,
so I'm gonna go vote for this philosopher, right? I mean, I love Cornel West as a civil rights icon. I love Cornel West as an intellectual. I can't sit there and listen to him talk for too long because he drives me nuts. But I love everything that man stands for and he pushes for. Can you honestly say that that's the dude you want going out doing your international affairs and negotiating, hostage releases and determining your war policy and controlling what happens on Wall Street? And you really think Cornell's the cat for that?
Trump, absolutely.
Yeah, because
over Biden. You line him up against Biden and you say he can do the job better than Biden?
Absolutely.
With a straight face?
I'm giving you the straightest face that I can give you.
Explain that one.
This way. I'll put it to you this way.
How this turned into a Cornel West slaughter, I don't know, but
because we're talking about third party. But that
doesn't have anything to do with what I'm saying. What I was saying was, I think, in my opinion, that either Biden is going to pardon Trump because it's in the good of the country and we need to look forward, or the next Republican president that could very well be Trump, and he just pardons
and that's
himself.
How we got onto this conversation. Because in order for a Republican to become the next president, something has to weaken the numbers enough for it to happen, and it doesn't take much because the Electoral College is very thinly
and
tilted.
This is why we don't get anything, because we keep voting the same. Why don't things change?
No,
because we vote the exact same way.
That's a platitude. That's not a plan.
That's not a platitude. That's the facts. People literally said, "Oh, I'll vote for Biden. I don't like either Biden or Trump, but I'm going to vote for Biden because he's not Trump." You're getting literally the same thing.
You're saying, is that not the same thing that you're saying when you advocate for a third party?
No, because what I'm saying is, you've tried this and it ain't worked. You tried that and it didn't work. Why don't you try this, a third option?
Right, but that's like me saying you've tried pizza and you didn't like that. And you tried a cheeseburger and you didn't like that. So here, go chew on a branch, right? I mean, it's not the same. They're not even in the same argument. And so you say we've tried this and we've tried that. Let's try something different. And I'm just saying, have you done the merits of what the different is?
And that's why we can't get anything, because we have people that keep voting the same way, and expecting different results.
Let me close this out real quick.
People don't want to use logic, man.
Let me close this out. I've said this before on this show. There's a group of people that's trying to keep you on the ground, Democrats, while there's another group of people that's trying to bury you, Republicans. This is what, now I'm going to put it in perspective.
And another one promising you we can make you fly and give you candy.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever promised that. Come on, stop. Now you can criticize third parties, but that one, nah, I can't even let that fly.
Now, this is why
what are you offering? Not you. What are they offering?
Hold on, this is what I said about trying to bury you. There's a candidate out there. It wasn't told to me who it was, and I don't want to know. Eventually, one day I'll look it up. But this guy wants to change the Constitution. He wants to change the Constitution where the vote age goes from 18 to 21. From 18 to 25. from 18 to 25, unless you can pass a civics test.
Oh yes, the poll tax. Let's bring it back to the literacy test.
Vivek Swami, I think it's his name. He's the one that says
Vivek.
that.
This is what I mean. I am not an advocate for the Democrats. I haven't been an advocate for the Democrats in a freaking long time. But for people to keep thinking it's the same thing, two-sided coin or whatever that phrase is, I'm sorry. I do not understand what you're seeing when you have a group of people who wants to bury you.
And that's the
saying something very
it is exactly the same thing. Joe Biden has continued. Children are still in cages to this day. Who's president right now?
Source. Where you get that from? Where you get that from?
C-SPAN, because I don't watch regular news.
Didn't. Where you get it from?
No, I don't watch regular news.
If you really look at this is the thing, and this is really going to be a negative
what the Democrats
on Biden.
Like to do. Well, you got to vote for us. If you don't vote the way we tell you, then you're just wasting your vote. No,
I'm just saying stand up for what you're voting for. But what I'm saying is on the border thing, this will actually be a strike against Biden. But see, where I get frustrated with people is they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like with Biden, the border crossings are down by greater than 50%. That's from the border. They're saying it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a Republican down there, Abbott, who is literally trying to make the border guards push people back into the water or deny them water or deny them food. He's got floating things with barbed wire wrapped around them to keep people from trying to cross the Rio Grande. That's a Republican doing that. What is Biden doing? He's working with Mexico to reduce the influx of them and pushing back against that as best he can because he doesn't have authority over the states. That's the reality of what Biden's doing. But here's the negative part that actually will help you anti-Biden people out there. Because I wish you would be mad at him for the right reason and not some BS you picked up from some Jimmy Dore-ish type stuff. Here's what Biden's doing is really messed up at the border. Biden struck a deal with Mexico to keep the people from even reaching the border.
Yep.
And Mexico is able to do whatever the hell they want to keep the migrants from making it to the border.
No.
That's some dirty, dark stuff.
They are willing in Mexico because I want to just make sure that everybody understands this. They're willing to do whatever it takes from the Mexican side of the border to keep them going. Whatever it takes.
Yes, we are talking the indoctrination camps and all. I mean, the concentration camps and the horrible treatment and the rapes and the beatings and all of that. Mexico is doing that to people who are non-Mexican who are crossing into their country trying to get to America at the behest of the U.S. government. Not necessarily to do the negative acts, but it's like, we don't want to know what you're doing. Just keep them from coming over here. Right. So people should be mad at Biden for that. But instead, they're mad at him talking about, well, he's not controlling the border. You're not looking at the border.
I could talk about offshore drilling. I could talk about the millions of people dropped off of Medicare. I could just keep going and go. I mean, how long do you want this conversation?
Was Biden the one for the Medicare?
It was his executive order that dropped millions of people from Medicaid. He's the one that did it.
Let's tell the whole story.
No, the whole story is
because of the COVID. That's because of the COVID bill, right?
He dropped the COVID emergency. Did something for health care,
right? COVID. That was from the COVID relief, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are we still in the COVID emergency?
I would say yes, but most people are going to say no.
Because we're not. So
it's okay to drop millions of people from their health care. It's okay.
False flag.
No, this is a vote blue no matter who type of argument. That's all I'm hearing. Is vote blue no matter who. And I'm done with it.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. So I don't know what you're listening to. What I'm saying to you is if someone passes a temporary measure and then the temporary measure expires, we need to be looking at Congress and saying, why the hell did you let this expire without putting something permanent in place? That's where we should be looking.
This
but
is
instead, we're looking at the president like we are a bunch of 5-year-olds who think that the president
He's the
is
one
the
that
boss.
had the executive order, not Congress.
But Tracy, he is a
no,
president.
This all I'm gonna say. 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 This is a vote.
This much about politics and don't know how it works.
We said
you out here misinforming people, man. Come on.
Literally said
I am not misinforming people. I'm literally saying he's the one
you're making up your own story.
I'm not making up any stories. The facts, which is what I am talking about, fact. He could have extended the COVID emergency to keep people on Medicare and say, hey, Congress, come up with a solution. I agree with that. Congress should come up with a solution, not the Affordable Care Act, because that's garbage, but okay.
Not the Affordable Care Act. You just advocated for the COVID, the thing being reinstated or kept going, which I would agree
keep people
with, right?
on Medicare.
Anything to help take care of people is good. But I'm talking about, you just made that point for the COVID relief. But then the Affordable Care Act did the exact same thing off of what the original situation was. It wasn't ideal. It wasn't the best thing, but more people got coverage out of the ACA than had it before. But you are against the ACA, but you for this temporary relief. It's inconsistent.
That is no, I'm gonna disagree. I'm just gonna disagree.
Of course you are, but tell me how.
I'm trying to.
I love you. I mean, you just be talking random stuff, man.
No, what I'm saying.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Again, we talked about this last week. We literally talked about this last week. When it's your guy, you want them to be a dictator. When it's the other guy, do you remember the Congress, the Senate, and the House, and everybody else? Please, the president cannot make anything, even with an executive order. Do you know how long the executive order can go into effect? As long as he's in office.
Yes, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that, Harlan. I'm not disagreeing with that. What I am saying, of course, is facts. Fact is, he could have extended that. He could have extended that order until, hey, Congress, come up with something. Whether it's expanded the awful Affordable Care Act, whatever you want to do. That's not how it works,
though.
But he has
unfortunately,
control.
This is why me.
No, I'm not saying that, Marlon.
I'm done with the Democrats. They can do whatever they want to do.
Then be done with them, because then be done with. We don't want you voting anyway. This is what I'm saying.
No, because I mean, you're gonna just rake up primaries anyway. So I mean, come on, y'all closing y'all own primaries.
So why even advocate for anything in the political sphere if it's all broken and rigged?
But you're also trying to say,
why advocate for anything?
I want you to do something until a Republican-led Congress, who is determined to make sure that you don't have a second term, come up with something.
Okay, I'm gonna give you an example, and then I'm absolutely done with this because I'm not getting anywhere, and we gonna just agree to disagree. The president, who, and we said that I wish it not to advertise my own show, but yesterday I talked with Alan, who is with the student loan debt forgiveness, and he mentioned something to me that I wasn't even aware of. He said to me, did you know that Trump, not Biden, not Obama, not Reagan, not Bush, not Clinton, but Trump forgave loans of veterans? Not once, but he did it twice. No arguments. Which there shouldn't be. Veterans should have their debts forgiven. He didn't forgive 10,000 to 20,000. He just forgave them. And that's all I'll say.
Perfect. So I agree with you that the veterans should have had relief. And the reason why they had relief is because it's something the Republicans were also okay with, because their king said, let's do it. That's one.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Number two, it comes from a different part of the budget in a different form of authority. Because he was able to use part of the Defense Authority or whatever to do some of that. But either way, it should have happened. It just should have happened, and I agree with you, right? Student loans, so for those who make the argument, student loans should be forgiven, and that Biden can just write an executive order. Okay, so he wrote the executive order, And what happened immediately? It went to the courts, who
yeah,
then shot it down. Okay, so it's all about who you're up against after the first round. See, the first round is writing the executive order and sending it down the pipe. After that, you are subject to Congress and you are subject to the Supreme Court. So the same thing that they did there, they looked at it and said, you do not have the authority to do this under these terms and blah, blah, blah. And what did Biden's team do? They waited for the Supreme Court to make this decision. Once they made that decision, they were able to make a whole nother plan, because now they know how to work around what you just told them to do, because you just gave them the parameters to do so. Yes. With this dovetails very well with the argument for the executive order for the COVID relief. Okay, he could go ahead and try to extend that, but the foundation of it is built on the COVID emergency. Well, once the COVID emergency is no longer being sustained by Congress or the president, then there's no strength for it once it gets to the courts. So the moment he tried to do that, the courts would have went in and struck that down as well. Mm-hmm. Then the states are still sitting on billions of dollars from COVID relief expressly for the purpose of providing care to people across the nation. And the states have chosen not to do it. So even if he had kept it going, the money can go out there, but the states are still getting in the way of getting the money to the people.
That part I will agree with.
So it's like,
looking at you, Alabama.
So it's like, I'm with. I mean, I know it sounds like I'm really against a lot of the things that people are saying, but I'm not actually against where people want to go. I am so frustrated with there's no path that people are talking like. They're talking like it's another world. Like these other obstacles don't exist if we just have good intentions. That's like I love Cornel West, but that's one of his biggest things is his optimism and his audacity to hope and love. And I love that about a person. Okay, but we've already had one person come down and sell us hope. We've already had that.
Who?
I'm saying Obama, his whole thing was selling hope.
Okay. I'll accept that argument.
Like,
I'll accept it for this discussion. I'll accept it.
It was literally his campaign. The audacity of hope.
That was Jesse Jackson. But
okay, with two, keep hope alive. Anyway, everybody, we got to stop because we are way over the first hour. And thank you very much for this panel because y'all have given me I have been slacking.
This is a good conversation and it actually needs to continue. So
for everybody who keeps saying, I try to tell y'all some of the emails I get without telling you some of the emails I get. So the people who keep constantly calling this a echo chamber, yeah. I want you to look at this video and try to call us an echo chamber. Okay? Oh, don't worry. I'm back in full gear now, so I'll be releasing more videos to show you our echo chamber.